thank you very much for your time. Just to chat about your runners for Saturday, we'll start off in race number 1, where you've got the coupling of Indebe Maya Buye. That's number 10 and the 12 Sheets and Goggles. Aldo gets the ride.
Yeah, Sheets and Goggles, she's had the 2 runs. Her first run was a good run. She just really got touched off first time out, and then there was a bit of a gap to her next run, and she was terribly green last time out. So I think she should have a much better, she should have a much improved run on Saturday. I think she's the kind of filly that will be looking for a bit further, and also she's a little difficult to train at the moment. She's very light, and she doesn't take much at all. So I think with a bit more time and a bit of strengthening up and a little bit further, I think she's going to be quite a nice filly. But she's a kind of filly that possibly would have an each way chance there. The other filly, very green on debut. I think she's improved quite nicely at home. She'll run a much better race, but probably will need another one, I would think.
Then we go to race number 2. You've got number 4 Turbo 20. Second in that race was Rama Forkeza, who came out to win a good race on Tuesday. What are you expecting? Has he improved back at home?
Yeah, also a nice little horse, but very green his last 2 races. He takes quite a ride. He'll definitely, I think, enjoy the 1400. Unless he's going to be very green. He's got a nice draw, so that will help. Improving little horse, but I think Brett's horse looks hard to oppose there. I think that last run from Brett's horse was a good run, and probably the horse to beat, but he's certainly a horse that could be in the money there.
The 4th race, you've got number 12, Igugu Letu, steps up in trip.
Yeah, he's been a little bit frustrating. He's been favourite many a time, and I think cost a lot of people their money. So I don't know if one's going to choose to follow him again. But he's a tricky little horse too. He's got so many little sensitive issues, and he's a little bit in and out in his work at home as well. So I'm not even sure what his best distance is. I think possibly a 1400 might be his best trip. His sister certainly went that trip, but I opted to run him here because it turned out to be a very weak race. Looking at his form, he should be able to win a race like this. He didn't, unfortunately, get a draw, which is, the par of the course for him. He never gets a draw. So he's got things against him here, but he's the kind of horse that should be able to certainly have a chance in a field like this.
Then we go to race 5. You've got number 2, Trippy Silk. Robert Carter gets the ride. You're just looking for some improvement?
Yeah, he's also a tricky horse. He wants to be very headstrong, and last time I put him his penultimate run, he was very keen in the 1400, so I put him back in a 12. Asked Anthony to try and get him to settle last time, which I think he had his hands full trying to do that. So he's not the easiest of horses. He's definitely looking for a 14 or more. Thankfully, he got a draw, so that will certainly help. I think if Robert can get him settled in the running, he's the kind of horse that has got a bit of ability, but it's all going to depend on whether he settles or not.
Race 6 is the Sweet Chestnut Stakes, and you look to have a strong hand over there. You've got all of Trip to Maputo, Kyle Army Girl, and Fun Zone. Yeah,
3 very nice runners, all consistent fillies. Fun Zone, she's always just finding a couple to beat her. Her and Unconquerable Lady probably have similar sort of form. So, she's the kind of filly that perhaps, at her best, she could find a place chance there if she puts it together like she can. I mean, she's probably one of my best workhorses at home, but when it comes to the track, she just doesn't ever quite produce what she shows at home. The other 2, Trip to Maputo, comes off a nice run, a feature run in Port Elizabeth. She's the kind of filly that will love this trip. Probably out of my 3, I think Kyle Army Girl will be the better out of the 3 fillies. Also, first time she's going the 1400, I think she should enjoy the trip. She's drawn nicely as well. So yeah, I have got a nice hand. I think it didn't end up being a hugely strong field. So I think my fillies can be competitive there.
The 8th race, you've got Benjamin as well as Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday won a good race last time. Small break?
Yeah, he did. He's had a little break. So it was also, again, the 1400 or the 1200. The 1400 also ended up being a big field again. And, last time he ended up drawing wide. So I thought I would take my chances running him back over 12 again, seeing he's had a little bit of a freshening up in between. Comes in with quite nicely weighted there with a nice weight. It's a big field and it's quite a competitive field, but he certainly would have a money chance at the weights. What was the other one, Rudy? Sorry, Benjamin. Good old Benjamin. Not much I can tell you about Benjamin. I mean, he's never far off them. Probably much the same. Also, stepped up in handicaps here with a lower weight rather than running with top weight all the time. So I think he might enjoy that, having Josh on his back. So possibly a money chance.
And your last runner comes up in the 9th race. That's number 11, Country Time.
Yeah, they ended up combining those 2 races. So she was in what I thought was a nice fillies race for her, but 62 against some of these colts. She's I don't want to say she's average, but I mean, she is an average filly, and it's quite a lot to ask of her, to run with top weights. I know Strata managed to defy that in the middle of the week, but I think it's a tricky race for her at the weights, and she's a kind of filly that you never quite know what to expect from her. She's a little bit in and out form-wise. I think things needs to go away in a race, so we'll just have to see.